Between the chalk lines, it's all baseball talk all the time. Thank you for joining me. Randy Nunez, your host. Having a special guest, Stephanie Streplewski. She was a writer for NBC Chicago. She had some of her work on Times of Northwest Indiana. And currently, what are we doing now, Stephanie?
We're currently doing some freelance writing about the WNBA.
All right, so you're focusing on women's basketball. Great.
Correct. Yeah.
But I know that you are a diehard White Sox fan, right?
Yes.
I heard that.
Unfortunately, correct.
Hey, you know what? I'm a diehard Angels fan, and we haven't been to the
Oh, so you feel
playoffs.
my pain.
I do. I haven't been to we haven't been to the playoffs since 2014, and I was there when the Royals swept us. So I do feel your pain. Yes, I do. And we're here to talk about something that's brand new with the MLB. They are doing a brand new initiative trying to showcase all baseball's top prospects in the spring. I've been to spring training in Arizona, and you get to see maybe an at bat or two or a inning pitched at the end of the game in Arizona. Same thing in Florida. These guys don't get a lot of attention until the Futures game in the All Star break, but now they're giving them their whole stage. It's just all show what you got. And we're talking about the Chicago Southsiders and the Northsiders, White Sox against Cubs. I want to get your take, Stephanie.
Mhm.
Who do you think will be locks for Chicago White Sox? And
Yeah. Yep.
I'll give my take as well. I know a little bit about prospects. I do some prospecting as far as cards go. So, what do you think?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm so excited. So that game specifically, well, for anybody that doesn't know, the spring breakout's going to be a 4-day showcase for, all the top prospects in the MLB. So, obviously teams will get a chance to scout them and scouts as well will get to scout these top prospects. It's also open to the public. So it's going to be a very friendly event. Most of these games will be taking place on the weekend so that families can attend in Arizona, in Florida, but also for fans to maybe who get a chance to watch on TV during the weekend as well, right? It's not during 1 p.m. on a Monday, right? So
Yeah.
it's very fan friendly. There's going to be meet and greets as well. But yes, the Cubs and the Sox. So the Sox are going to play the Cubs at Sloan Park in Arizona on March 15th. I think it's going to be an outstanding matchup, especially me who primarily follows both Chicago sports teams, more so the White Sox. I'm really excited to see which players are actually going to be in the game because a lot of writers were wondering if for a player, for example, like Colson Montgomery, who's a top prospect of the White Sox, they're wondering if he's actually going to, be showcased in this game or if they kind of have an inkling he's already going to make the team and if he's going to sit out and just play the other games, with the rest of the White Sox team to, hopefully make the team. So that's actually a great concern because it's like, who are the prospects even going to be like what's the matchup going to be like what are the lineups going to look like but as of right now I'm going to go ahead and say that Colson Montgomery is definitely going to play in that game. I also would like to see, I don't know if they'll bring like Noah Schultz, who's a left-handed pitcher for the Sox. I'd like to see him play a couple innings as well. But for the Cubs, I'm really excited to see, Cade Horton, maybe Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara. We'll see those guys definitely in the mix. Sox versus Cubs is always a fun little matchup. The Crosstown Classic or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But for this one, I think, it's not like for the crosstown for like I don't think this game is for the glory. I think it's going to definitely be who are the top prospects going to be, who's going to be the better team in 2024 2025 when these prospects actually get brought up to the MLB level. So Cubs versus Sox, who has the better lot of prospects? In my opinion, I currently think it's the Cubs. The top 5 to 10 prospects are just really outstanding. And of course, Pete Crow-Armstrong has already, made his debut and he's an exciting guy to watch. Cade Horton. I think got a chance to pitch a bit, but for the Sox, I think their top five is, they're kind of, this is my kind of scale for the Sox right now. But the number one outstanding guy that the Sox have is Colson Montgomery, and I really hope he gets a chance to get called up this year.
No, I definitely agree. I have number one bullet point is overall, prospect for the White Sox. Number one, shortstop Colson Montgomery. He's got to be in this game. I think if they really want to showcase the spring breakout, it's you got Montgomery, you got Jackson Holiday, you have all these guys that are still fairly young. Obviously, Holiday is like 19 years old, I think, for the
Yeah,
Orioles,
yeah,
and
18, 19,
18,
yeah.
19. It's ridiculous. This kid has just got baseball running through his blood. But Montgomery, I think, if you're the White Sox and you want to show off your top talent, Montgomery has to be in this game.
Hmm.
It's just one day. He can go away from the major league team for a day and show off for the fans. I think, like you said, this is a very fan friendly and family friendly
Hmm.
initiative that the Major League Baseball wants to put into place. I've even heard about possibly doing a tournament style in the future. That would be awesome to see. But Montgomery, last year rocketed all the way from rookie ball up to Double
Hmm.
A.
Yeah.
He's doing great at all levels. It seems like I don't know. I know for us in the West Coast, the PCL is a hitters league. It's not much of a pitchers league, so I can't tell if Montgomery is just doing well because of the pitching, due to the lack of the pitching, I guess you could say. But I know that scouts just rave about his bat to ball skills, and he rarely chases bad pitches. So you name Noah Schultz. So Schultz already you covered him. He's doing great as well, and I think because the Angels and the White Sox had that trade at the deadline for Giolito and Lopez. You guys got Edgar Cuero, who I was so excited to see Edgar Cuero in an Angels uniform later
Yeah.
down the line. But you guys, I think you have something special in Cuero as well. He's still fairly young, also, and I think you have third baseman Brian Ramos. He's only 21 years
Hmm.
old.
Yeah.
Ramos, because you don't have a really long term solution for third base. If I know the White
No,
Sox.
that's correct. I mean, our infield's kind of just up in the air in general. We kind of have a mix at first base between Gavin Sheets and Andrew Vaughn. Second base, shortstop, third. Tim Anderson's obviously gone this year. Sox signed Paul DeJong for a year, so obviously he's not a long-term solution. So that kind of raises the question, is Colson Montgomery going to be brought up by the White Sox this season? If you look, according to MLB.com/prospects, his ETA is expected for 2024. He's still playing at the double A level, but I think, spring training, of course, and especially the spring breakout game that we're talking about, if he shows really high levels of play, he has a huge chance to make the team and to learn under De Jong. And of course, Sox are kind of known for injuries and um, being inconsistent. So I can see Colson filling in, when Paul might be sick or when Paul might be injured, filling in at shortstop, maybe even putting him at second base, maybe even putting him at DH just so he gets a feel of the major league play. But I think he definitely needs his reps. So I definitely think that the Sox are going to try to maybe call him up by maybe, I don't know, August or September.
I would have to agree with that, definitely. Paul DeJong is not the long term solution there. And if your number one overall prospect is a shortstop in Colson Montgomery, then
Mm,
you would have to give him some sort of audition at least. Uh,
absolutely.
um,
And
so Sorry, what was that?
I was going to mention, you mentioned the trade of, prospects from the Angels, Giolito with Lopez, and we're getting Kiro, but we also Sox also traded Jake Berger to the Marlins. I believe it was in
That's true.
August,
Yes,
and
yes.
so we received a left-handed pitcher, Jake. I believe his last name is Eater. Eder Eater. So Jake Eater came from the Marlins organization. So he is now in the top five. Like he is number five on the White Sox prospects list. So he is he's at the MLB level, but he's definitely going to be a guy to watch to see if he'll actually stay at the MLB level, or maybe he's going to have to be brought down back to AAA to work some kinks out. But yeah, the Sox, when I was saying the Cubs had a better prospects list than the Cubs, or excuse me, when I was saying the Cubs had a better prospect list than the Sox, I do mean that. I think like their top 5 to top 10 guys are maybe stronger, but I do think the White Sox number one overall, Colson Montgomery, is definitely like they have the most solid guy out of the bunch. But I think the Cubs kind of have a more um like definitely a more, I think, talented group who are kind of already ready to play at the AAA/MLB level.
Yeah, Armstrong already made it to major leagues.
Correct.
Mervis already went to major leagues. Uh, they didn't do fantastic at the major league
No,
level,
they
but
got some things to work on.
they definitely have some work to do. But that's what spring's for. That's what minor league is for. Um, I know the Cubs that are definitely hoping to bring back Cody Bellinger
Yep.
in outfield and first base. We don't know if that will happen. He's asking for 250 million plus. Scott Boras agent, and he's probably going to get it. He's, I would say, the overall number one free agent name right now after Shohei
Mhm.
Ohtani has signed with the Dodgers. But
Which I have to ask you as an Angels fan. I mean,
yes,
how heartbreaking was that day?
to be honest, it wasn't as heartbreaking as I saw a lot of other people react on
Uh-huh.
social media. It was
Yeah,
more of a like, okay, I understand why you left to the Dodgers.
sure.
They're being a lot more well run than the Angels are right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name any names or any
Yeah.
positions, but if you know, I talked to one of the Angels beat writers shortly before all the free agency happened. The Angels gave him cash and comfort, and the one thing that they lacked in was competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dodgers, they could promise him the comfort of not having to talk and deal with reporters and all that. No reporter has talked to him since August, early August. He hasn't had to deal with questions and all of that. So if he has his comfort and he obviously has the cash and $700 million,
Mm-hmm.
um, they're going to be competitive every year in
Right.
year out. So I think that was really the deciding factor for him,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't have to move. He's had to go to Canada to go to the Blue Jays, and
Right.
the Blue
Right. Right.
Jays don't offer that competitiveness year in year
Right.
out.
Plus, he gets to stay on the West Coast, which I think was a huge factor to him and his already huge fan base out that way. And, you
Exactly.
know, not too far from you, so I'm sure you'll get to still see him when he comes. But yeah, I was really surprised because I did read reports that the Blue Jays had signed him. So I was the next 2 days, I think I saw on Twitter when, oh no, that was a huge rumor. And the Dodgers signed him. I was very surprised, but also very happy because I think, I personally didn't want to see Ohtani in a Blue Jays uniform. I think I didn't want to see him leave the Angels, but of course, we all know that the Angels have had such superstar caliber talent over the past 5-10 years,
10
and
years, yeah.
just can't really seem to make it to the play or get very far. And make it to the World Series. It's just kind of not in the cards for them. So I'm very excited to see Ohtani, see what he can do for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, in my opinion, are kind of like, the Yankees of the National League. They're always signing these big
Yeah.
superstar guys, to sort of fill in the pieces and make this World Series roster team. So I don't know, Randy. 2024 Los Angeles Dodgers World Series champions. If not this year, definitely next. There's no way that they're not going to win without Ohtani.
Yeah, no, I have to agree, but I do have to say that their window is probably what the Glass Now extension is.
Yeah.
I know that Glass Now, you know, ironically enough, he is a little bit of a glass player. His arm he's not known to be a very you know sound body.
Mm-hmm.
He has injury issues left and
Sure.
right. But I think the next 3 or 4 years before Freddie Freeman leaves, I think in
Right.
26 or 27, and then a couple of years after that, it's Betts, and then Otani is going to be by himself.
Right.
What do the
Right.
Dodgers do? The Dodgers. I know they don't have in-house a first baseman prospect that is Freddie Freeman's level, and
Right.
they definitely don't have anybody at the level of Mookie Betts. But
No.
uh, to get back on the spring breakout, the Cubs, we already talked heavily enough on the White Sox. I already mentioned, you mentioned Pete Crow-Armstrong. I mentioned Matt Mervis.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, who else is on their list of prospects you think that could show up?
So definitely Owen Casey, an outfielder.
Yeah.
Cubs have always, I feel like, have really great outfielder type prospects in the past. Think of like Alcantara or excuse me, not Alcantara, Albert Almora. Think of Kyle Schwarber, like all the people that have made it to the outfield and have, really played at that MLB caliber. But yeah, Owen, and then I had said Alcantara because after Owen on the list is Kevin Alcantara, who's also an outfielder. But I'm really excited to see, the outfielders come up into play. Pete Crow Armstrong, obviously an outfielder. I'm always excited to see more, outfielder slash infielder players more so than pitching. I think I don't really know what it is. So I definitely think if Pete Crow Armstrong has already seen a little bit of success, not as much as we had hoped, but definitely had seen a glimpse of success over the past season. I'm really excited to see the Cubs potentially bring Owen or Kevin up. I definitely think Owen has a bigger shot than Kevin. So maybe we'll see Owen play right along Pete Crow Armstrong. So um, you know they also have a pitching prospect in Cade Horton. Cubs, I think, are known a little bit for their pitching sometimes as far as prospects go into. So yeah, I'm not lying to you. I'm a Sox fan, but Cubs, like I said, they have a little bit more consistency when it comes to their prospects. Their front office definitely knows what it's doing when it trades, especially for a rebuild type of team. And like I said, the Sox, I'm really dead set on Colson, but that's kind of about it at the moment. I think if the Sox are going to bring up anybody, it's going to be Colson, and if the Cubs bring up anybody, it's going to be Owen Casey.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Owen Casey's an interesting story. He's the highest drafted outfielder from Canada in Major League Baseball history. So, he's got to show that Canada pride and Canada skill. Um, I know Owen Casey spent all last year in Double A. He did fairly well. He had a OPS over 900. He hit over 20 home runs. So I think Owen Casey is on the cusp of getting to the major leagues. If they
Mm-hmm.
don't re-sign, Cody Bellinger, uh, Owen Casey could possibly be that replacement. And like you said, I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong, Casey, and a few others, they could have a full outfield of just pure prospects for
Yep.
this spring outbreak.
Yeah. And that's
So,
kind of like what the Texas Rangers, had.
yeah.
They had what, six All-Stars that played in the game. And it's just like you kind of have this. this team of prospects. I mean, I follow baseball pretty closely, and there are only like one or two guys that I'd name that I could personally name on the Rangers this season. I was like, who's that guy? Who's this guy? Was he from AAA? Was he from AA? So it goes to show that, you don't need big name superstars to win a World Series. You just need a healthy team, you need a consistent team, but these young talented group of guys, that's what we mentioned earlier. This is exactly what spring training's for, to see who meshes well together, to see who really fills in the gaps at areas that need to be addressed. So I'm just so excited, not for the Sox and Cubs, but for all teams. I'm really excited to see what the
Yeah,
Orioles can bring. They already have a talented group of young guys, so to see guys like Holiday come up and, I am so excited for baseball this season. It's probably the most excited I've been in the last couple years. I mean, the talent is just endless. Especially, in the card collecting community. Everybody is getting a chance to get ahead of the game and learn prospects more because they're in sets of cards now, and these 1 out of 100 cards to collect and things like that. So we're getting to get a glimpse of prospects early, and it gives us fans a chance to get ahead of the game and be excited to watch spring training, and get really excited to hope for these guys to get called up to the MLB level one day.
definitely, definitely. And speaking of cards, I do want to do a giveaway for our White Sox fans out here. This is
Oh
a
yeah.
2022 Bowman Chrome Norge Vera Lava Refractor out of
Oh
399.
wow.
So the person who guesses the closest number for this card by next Friday, so shortly after Christmas and just before New Year's, I will be sending out this. It's actually Jorge's first Bowman card, so
Very cool.
uh, just tossing that out there. I will be posting the photo of that card in all of the socials for Between the Chalk Lines. And if you can guess it, you know, you can get an extra Christmas present.
Yeah, that's an awesome gift.
um, I love giving back to the community as much as possible. I've given out a few cards already, and I figured, we're talking about the Chicago White Sox and we're talking about the Cubs.
The
What
perfect
better?
giveaway.
What better than a first Bowman White Sox card? So,
Bowman's
uh,
one of my favorites. Let me tell you, if anybody's listening and you're not really into collecting cards, or you're trying to dip your toe into it, Bowman is an excellent, I think starter set in my opinion. I love collecting all the Bowman prospects. And as I mentioned earlier, when I watch baseball, it's so hard to keep up with who are the top 100 guys, and it's very overwhelming, but collecting these cards sort of gives you a hint at who you should be keeping an eye out for. So it really helps you. And of course, it's got some of their statistics on the back to keep up with. And yeah, I'm just very excited for this upcoming spring, and especially because it really seems like the MLB is trying to make games more fan friendly. I know this year it's been really hard to try to meet guys in person. You're part of the collecting community as well, so
definitely, yeah,
it's very hard to try to meet young talent because everybody's trying to meet guys, and then some people try to sell stuff. So this is a really cool way of the MLB trying to showcase this spring breakout series, make it very fan friendly so that people can come out to the games, people can watch it on TV because it's going to be more aimed at the weekend. And then also there's going to be meet and greets as well. So very good on MLB for trying to keep this a family friendly sport for all ages.
yeah. And I know in the last few years they've been saying let the kids play, and they're literally letting the kids play now. So, uh, I think that is our wrap up for this Chicago versus Chicago breakout series um, analysis. So, takeaways: Colson Montgomery, Pete Crow-Armstrong. Those are the two names to watch out for, and two very different positions, shortstop and
Mhm.
outfield. Uh, both their respective clubs' number one overall prospects. So That will be something to look out for. I will be watching that. I believe it is on March 15th, if I recall
That's
correctly.
correct. Yep.
Yes, March 15th in Arizona, correct?
In Arizona at Sloan Park. Yep.
All right. I'll have to look out and see if I'll be in Arizona at that time. If I
Yes.
am, then I'll
You'll
be
have to,
going to that game.
you'll definitely have to document it for us, on social media, take lots of pictures. Um,
100%.
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do a follow-up recap if you go, because I'm sure I'll be watching on TV. So it'll be fun to discuss, what the pros and cons were for the top prospects and, if there are any prospects that surprise us
Yes,
as
that
well.
that is the one thing I love going to spring training for is those guys that you never hear about until they're
Yep.
in spring and then they make the major league roster, and you're
Hmm.
like, I didn't know about that guy until 2 weeks ago.
It happens every year. Yep.
Every year. So thank you, Stephanie, for stopping by and talking with me. I will catch up with you later.